Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds, and today we're talking about terrible cards.
Literally, the worst cards in Commander.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, BZ, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. Daily Commander content is what you're getting with us. Now, more full length than ever before, so if you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is patreon.com. There's a description, and there's a link in it.
Yes, that is the best way to support us directly with the monies. But if you want to support us indirectly, you can use tcgplayer.com. It's a website where you can go buy Magic cards. But if you start with the link in the description below, you will now be supporting Nitpicking Nerds. Whatever Magic cards you want to buy, you will spend the same amount of money on those Magic cards, but the Nitpicking Nerds will get a kickback in this channel. I've done that multiple times now. Will be supported. Dragon Shield, tell them about it, BZ.
There's a link in the description. When you buy cards through the link, we get a kickback on the order. Best sleeves in the multiverse.
Except for, he meant sleeves this time and not cards. Best sleeves in the multiverse, though, good sleeves. I had to say both again. I don't know why. This is the best intro ever. Also, happy birthday to everybody whose birthday is today. We do daily content, so you know we got to tell you guys happy birthday. All right, for this video, we're talking about the worst, the most awful, terrible cards of Commander that will lower your win percentage and actually are so bad. In some cases, I think if you draw them, it is better to just hold them in your hand, leave up mana on the off chance that someone else makes you draw a card. That's how bad these cards actually are.
Right, yeah, save them for maybe getting discarded or something. Most of these cards, I don't think anyone's ever going near in Commander, but some of them actually see a play, and we'll talk about why that is. But these are literally just the most terrible cards in the entire format. Don't expect me to say Grave Titans on here. That is so playable compared to all of these.
I do want to say one thing about this list. This isn't completely extensive. This isn't the 20 worst cards in Commander of all time. These are 20 of the worst cards. They're probably in the bottom 50 of all cards that you can play in the Commander format. Before we get into it, fun is not being taken into consideration whatsoever. There are some of these cards that you're going to go, those are really fun. It doesn't mean they're good. They can just be fun. Yeah,
there's a challenge to build around them. It's not like anyone's wrong for building them. We're not addressing any fun, and we are recommending nothing. We are just telling you what we think the worst cards in the format are.
Yes, so let's get right into it. And this one's really simple. This is a placeholder for a ton of cards. It's March of Burgeoning Life, which says you can target a creature with mana value X to get the same creature out of your deck onto the battlefield. This is a singleton format, and yes, you can jump through the hoops, you can get it, but this is absolutely terrible in 99% of situations.
There's almost no hoop you can jump through for this one. It's just the creature has to be in play. And so what are you making, a token and then shuffling the other one in your deck? How is this even happening? The fact I also think the March is a little annoying because it has the creature enter tapped, and somehow that just irks me. This card is hot garbage. You can't do anything with it that's worth doing, I think. Yeah,
exactly. So this is just, again, like we said, this is holding a spot for every single card that tells you to get a second copy of a card.
There's so many.
You wanted, and no, it's something I thought of. I had a shower thought because I showered right before we did this video, and I thought, what's the best version of this card that exists? It's a Squadron Hawk, probably. It's the best one we've ever gotten, where you play Squadron Hawk and you get more copies of it to your hand. That's too good for this list. Way too good.
1/1 flyer for 2?
A 1/1 flyer for 2 is way too good for this list.
Yeah, we had Clarion Ultimatum on here, but we had to take it off because it gets lands.
Yeah, exactly.
That's way too good. I mean, if I can get 6 snow lands off my 7-mana spell, that's playable. We can't have that.
Yeah, so any card that references another card, especially if it's a non-basic land, oh no, that's absolutely awful. So we'll move on, and we have next is a cycle of cards. It is Cathedral of Sarah, Seafarer's Quay, whatever a quay is, Unholy Citadel, Mountain Stronghold, and Adventurer's Guild House. These are all lands that do not tap for mana.
It was a good start. What do they do?
It's already bad, but we have Urborg. I mean, we can get around it. This would probably be fine, right? Oh no, it gives our colored legends banding with other legends. Holy crap! This is flavor text. It is a land that doesn't tap for mana with flavor text.
Right, so the opportunity cost is you're strip mining yourself to have slightly better combats that are where blocking is involved and you're attacking with 2 legends, and one of them is green with Adventurer's Guildhouse, and one of them is white with the Cathedral. Holy crap. These are like the worst lands ever made.
They're so bad. They're so funny. They're funnily bad. Like,
yeah, it's like amusing. It's like, what? That's all the words?
Like,
There's
again,
no more words?
Like, we're not big fans of Maze of Ith. Like,
right.
And it's similar to this, where it's a land that doesn't tap. But
that's where the similarities end.
And we say, we would say, don't play that card for a lot of reasons. But it is 100 times better than these. Like, if we think Maze of Ith is a card you should almost never play, we think this is the card you should almost never consider or think about. Yeah. Just throw it out of your mind
Stop
forever.
thinking about it now.
Yeah.
It's not even worth it.
Exactly. And let's move on to the one that, when you saw the title of this video,
you thought of it.
You thought of this card. It's been mentioned by people over and over again. It's Wood Elemental. It is a star for 4 mana, and when it enters, you can sacrifice any number of untapped forests, and its power and toughness are equal to the number sacrificed this way. Wow.
You have to literally strip mine yourself to make this a creature that stays on the battlefield. 4 mana, strip mine once, 1/1. 2 strip mines is a 2/2. Is there a point where this starts to become worth it? It's not even close.
Oh, never.
This is a joke.
So the only way you could ever play this card is you would have to build your deck around it, where you have all the effects that say
Splendid Reclamation.
Like Splendid Reclamation. Get all your lands back from your graveyard to the field. But that's not even close to.
But even then, you have to tap 8 lands, and then those aren't sacrificed. So then it's whatever you have left over after you tap 8 lands.
Yeah, the biggest issue.
You can't even make it work.
Yeah, on top of all of this, the biggest issue with this stupid card is it wants untapped forest for some ungodly reason. Why can't we just sacrificing lands is already, like, this would be one of the worst cards ever printed that you would never play, even if it sacrificed tap lands.
It would at least be a thing you could do. Like, there's not a ton of ways to just sacrifice all your lands. I mean, this is still just nothing. This is like, I don't want to even, it makes me mad.
It's so bad. It's so funny. I sacrificed 4 of my lands. What did you get? A 4/4 for 4.
Whoa, and Commander? Crazy. I'm going to read a card now since Joe stole the first 7 of them. Mogg Squad. It's 1 in red for a 3/3. Whew. Hold on, we need a downside. It gets -1/-1 for each creature on the battlefield. This is a 4-player format. Obviously, it wasn't designed for the 4-player format, but we have to consider all cards, except for this one, because it is literally a 1 in red for a 0/0. There's no board state where this survives. You can play it on turn 2 and be like, all right, here we go. Fingers crossed. And they go, creature. Oh, it's dead.
I literally, I didn't know this card existed.
Yeah, me neither.
Until yesterday. And I was laughing when I saw it. I'm like, wow. One, it's in no format that's ever existed been a playable Magic card.
Yeah, probably not even limited.
Not even limited, not anything. It's an awful, awful Magic card. But it could never live. This is 2 mana get a dice trigger. That's
2 mana trigger morbid.
Oh my god. It's just, I literally, other than the first 2 turns, can't think of any board states where there's not 3 creatures in play.
Yeah, this is a rough one. But the next one, I think, is one of my favorite cards because it just goes to show that when they were designing this card, they didn't think about it at all. This is Rhystic Cave. It's a land. It taps for 1 colorless unless anyone else pays 1 mana. It says Rhystic on it. Rhystic Study is good.
These are
so your land doesn't work. It just doesn't work if anyone feels like holding up 1 mana. It's like putting Rashad Port into play under everyone else's control.
This is so friggin' bad. I love it. I want it. Okay, a rainbow land. Oof,
I think it's a rainbow. I might have said colorless, but I didn't mean to shortchange Rhystic Cave.
Yeah, rainbow. Make my blue. No, you won't. I'll pay 1. Anyone has a mana laying around at any time, they're just going to pay this because why wouldn't they? They're basically just making your land useless.
It's not like it's in play face down. They see it. They're like, oh, all right, I'll just leave up mana. Okay.
It's so horrible. Again, we need to have Urborg in our deck. We need to have Yavimaya just to make this a functional Magic card. Jeez. Up next, we have Undertow. 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Says creatures with Island Walk can be blocked as though they did not have Island Walk.
What else?
That's it.
Oh.
That's the card.
Merfolk players beware.
How many... realistically, I wonder if there's even 10 playable Magic cards in the Commander format that are even remotely good that have Island Walk? Because I don't think there is.
There might not even be 5. There's probably because most of the merfolk they just give it, they don't have Island Walk. Maybe they count in the 10.
If we count those, those 2 are good. The 2 that give away Island Walk to merfolks. And then I really can't think of anything. I think maybe Lorthos has Island Walk.
Stormtide Leviathan has it, but that card is real bad.
Regardless, we would never want to dedicate a whole entire card to getting rid of Island Walk. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It's not efficient for anyone. No one's trying to do this.
I mean, it's just Island Walk is not a thing in Commander. You can go through all of your games of Commander and never think of Island Walk. 99.99% of them, unless somewhere in your pod there's a Merfolk player. Then, it'll come up once in a while. But if you don't have a Merfolk player in your pod, you're never going to see Island Walk.
What's a solution, right? Let's say 20% of all creatures in Magic have Island Walk. What's the solution for me, the deck builder? I could either wipe the board, kill the creature with Island Walk, or play a removable enchantment that temporarily negates the Island Walk.
Even better. This just negates Island Walk.
Right, they can still be blocked.
The creatures still exist.
Yeah, it's fine.
The creatures are still fine.
No text remove other than Island Walk.
Yeah, exactly. They can still, you can just block, which means you have to have blockers now. So, if they send 10 guys at you, you still need 10 blockers.
Right.
This didn't do anything for you.
Yikes, Undertow. Yikes. Don't play this one in Commander. Now, this one is great. This next one is great because, first of all, the name is perfect, but it represents a lot of cards. Garbage Fire. It's 2 and a red. And look at the words on this thing. Cares about how you drafted it. You have to reveal it when you draft it. Now, here's the problem. We're not drafting, and this card is not banned because that would just kind of be a waste of ban list space. You could play this. It has literally no text at all for Commander. Nothing. It does nothing.
Oh, you aren't kidding. It does literally nothing.
Like, you can't get less effective than this. This is 2 and a red. That's it.
But it does. So
triggers prowess.
It triggers prowess, and it does target. So if you have deck faded emblem, it'll get you something.
Yeah, wow, look out.
I love this. I love that his 3 mana deals 0 damage to target creature, because it actually is going to deal 0 damage.
Yep.
Because it's going to go, okay, let me check the noted number. There is no noted number.
0.
We're going to deal 0 here.
Absolute classic. What about Tripwire?
My absolute favorite one. It's 2 and a green for a sorcery. Destroy target creature with horsemanship. This, I think, is worse than Garbage Fire.
I think so.
Garbage Fire does nothing, but it does target, and it does trigger prowess. You're never going to be able to cast this card.
You can't cast it without a target, so it's just in your hand. No one even knows that you can't do anything with it. It's just stuck there.
I really do wonder what the it'd be obviously the set you can never get.
Right.
What is the percentage of games in which a creature with horsemanship is played?
There's like 2 commanders.
It's gonna be like 0.001.
Sun Quan. So however many decks that is, that's pretty much the only one.
What percentage of commander decks are Sun Quan decks?
Right. And then you're playing green, and you're like, yeah, this is the way to go. This is how you answer that.
It is. You can't even cast it because you don't have targets. It's the fact that this somehow a card that has text that does do something is worse than a 3 mana card that does nothing.
This is pretty much on par with like the 7 of clubs in your hand.
It's also hilarious because the idea of this card is a tripwire. It literally, in the art, it's a tripwire tripping a guy on a horse.
But of course he's dead.
But besides anything, okay, think of a tripwire. What about a human? What if a human ran into a tripwire and fell over?
Oof, ow.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, same thing with a horse. They would go, oof,
a horse is tougher than a human.
Oh, by about 10 miles.
I just also, there's some flavor issues of a green sorcery. So I'm using magic to conjure a tripwire. That's pretty uninspired.
Tripwire.
How about you just get a tripwire, okay? Those exist. We don't need to go through the trouble of magic on this.
Yeah, just use the art, so it'd be an artifact then.
Yeah, next is 2 cards. They're the same card, and I don't think these are going to come up very often. City in a Bottle and Apocalypse Chime. They destroy all cards from certain expansions. I think it's Arabian Nights and Homelands. Those are already bad expansions. There's no cards there, all right? We're not going to see any. So destroying all of them, basically blank. They are artifacts. They do it with the graveyard.
Arabian Nights has some good cards at least. Arabian Nights has good Magic cards in it. There is some good ones. Homelands does not even have good cards in it. So it's even worse. At least, sitting in the bottom, there are, there's Bazaar of Baghdad. And in the right deck, that's a really powerful card. But then we go over to Apocalypse Chime. There's Hammuraid.
Oh, boy.
There's no Homelands. It's a meme. I mean, there is one or two cards that you can play in Homelands.
I can't remember. What was the best card in Homelands from our popular video?
Was it High Tide?
Oh, it might have been High Tide.
High Tide, which is a pretty decent card, but it's not a card you can destroy. It's an instant sorcery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, there's creatures are not going to be the best card in Homelands. What I can tell you right now, the best card in Homelands is not a creature.
And to be completely fair to these cards, Tripwire is worse.
Yeah.
Than these.
Right.
Tripwire might be one of the literal worst on here because 3 mana do nothing is better than 3 mana card I cannot cast.
Yeah, I think it's like, right. I would hesitate to even call Tripwire a 3 mana do nothing because it's not even 3 mana. It's not even do. You don't even get to the do part. You just can't do it.
It's stuck. It's a card that is stuck.
Don't do it.
You can loot it away. That's all you can ever do with it, except for in the 0.001% of games where they're the horsemanship guy.
Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite way to justify a card is that you can loot it away. All right. Trap Finder's Trick. This is one of the best ones on here. I'm telling you right now. It's 1 and a blue. Somebody reveals their hand, which is the good part, and discards all trap cards. First of all, this is like a blue discard. How many blue cards make somebody discard? But also, how many traps are there in Commander? There's like in CEDH, I remember years ago, the blue one mythic blue one was a fringe card. All right. Yikes. What are we supposed to do with this? This isn't even like in the top 30 ways to look at someone's hand.
I want to be something hilarious about this because this card is awful. But they've reworked what a Trap Finder card does in in Magic because we got a new Trap Finder card and now it looks at your hand and just takes any card.
Oh,
there's a new Trap Finder.
Yeah, that was from D&D.
Yeah, exactly. So Trap Finders, this old Trap Finder only found the traps.
Literal traps.
Now the new Trap Finder just finds whatever it wants.
No traps. He just has a bunch of random cards like Cyclonic Rift and Primeval Titan, whatever. In this world, it's not banned.
Yeah, I mean, how many traps are being played? At least, again, castable card. I'm taking it over Tripwire.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, let's get to we saved this one for the middle because we know people are going to hate us. This is the controversial one.
I don't even think this is controversial.
Well, we're just talking about lowers your win percentage and is not something that I'm going to try to do when winning. But if you want to accept the challenge or build it because you like it, that's great. But one of the worst ways to win or the best ways to lose is to just give stuff away. So, we're putting Howling Mine on here, Kami of the Crescent Moon, Dictate a Crucifix, Font of Mythos, Rites of Flourishing especially. That's a brutal one. If I had to pick one, maybe I'd give it to Rites. So the problem is you play them, then you give away a resource, then you give away a resource, then you give away a resource. Then you get to be breaking even if it survives that long, and it probably won't.
Yeah, exactly. So all of these cards I think are absolutely 100% terrible.
Yikes.
Now, there is a fun perspective. There is also other ways to look at these cards, and there are ways to use them that can be useful that are extremely fringe. But we're getting past that. That's not what this is about.
Right. Should you put these in your deck? The answer is no, unless you have a reason otherwise.
I think you should. I think these cards are the most. They might be the literal most overplayed Magic cards in all of Commander.
In terms of a power perspective.
In terms of a power perspective, these are some of the literal bottom 50 cards in Commander. They're awful. You're
just handing out free stuff to everybody. You can't win that game.
Any card that says each player draws a card, you would never play that card. That is an awful card because let's start with this. Every player draws a card to start. Okay, we're all even. Mm-hmm. You spent a card to do that. That is where this comes in. So when you play Howling Mine, everyone gets a card. They're all up a card. And it gets to you draw a card. You're even.
Right. You're struggling to break even when you eventually untap with it.
So you have to go around another one. Everyone's gotten 2 cards from your card. And now you're up 1. There's now no world where these cards are remotely playable from a power perspective. Obviously, there are ways to make them kind of good.
Right, yeah. Urza can just tap the Howling Mine, but Urza's one commander out of what is it, 1,200 now?
These are, and like I said, why these are the most overplayed cards in Commander. They should be played almost never.
Right, but unless for fun is fine. But we're talking about power. Still.
We're talking about power. And I think people put these in their deck thinking, like, hey, it's my mono white deck. I can't draw cards well. I'll put it in. No.
It's like, now you can't now you really can't draw cards well. You're going to lose.
Do not do that. I think, honestly, one of my least favorite cards in all of Commander is Rites of Flourishing. It just pushes the best deck way ahead. Like,
like if everybody gets more resources, the best deck's going to win a higher percentage of the time because the variance is reduced.
Exactly. So it's like if all the decks are like this, and this, like all really close, you start expanding the gap with cards like these.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I absolutely hate Rites of Flourishing. I don't want to see that card in any game of Magic I ever play.
Yeah, it lowers win percentage, and for some people it raises fun percentage, but for me it also just lowers the fun percentage.
I agree with 100%. I think these cards, like I said, the literal most overplayed cards in the whole Commander format.
All right. This next one, this is an interesting one. I like this one because this might be the worst one on the list. It's close. Every other card on the list can do something, and you can win the game having cast this card. But if you cast this card, you can't win the game if it stays in play. It's Divine Intervention. 8 mana, 2 turns from now, the game is a draw. How could this possibly increase my win percentage?
This card does.
You can't
win. I mean, everyone knows how much I hate this card.
Yeah.
I will say it over and over and over again. This might be my least favorite card in the whole entire Commander format.
It's in its own special category. You can't win.
It's in its own special category to the point that I've had to my friend had it in the deck, and I've talked to I finally he spent $150, and I don't want to tell him he can't play this $150 card, but it's like, I really don't like the games that this creates. It is frustrating to me. It's like, I would rather, I almost would, if I know this card's going to just keep getting played, I'd rather not play. Because I don't want to play a mini game of stop a draw.
Well, yeah, because part of the problem is everybody shows up with a kind of unspoken expectation of, like, we're going to play to win, right? And if someone's like, no, it's like, oh, what are you trying to do?
Exactly. And, like, there's a difference between, like, not playing 100% to win and trying to draw the game intentionally.
It's like, but we want to play the game.
We want to play this game. We want to keep going. Like,
and from a winning perspective, there's nothing. I'm sorry. Maybe some of these other cards I missed. You know, Howling Mine can be tapped with Urza. Great. There's nothing here. There's just nothing here. You can't possibly say there's anything here. It literally changes the outcome of the game in a way that makes you not able to win.
No, I think it's funny to cause a draw with like a card like Earthquake once in a while. It's
like Slagstorm, something.
It's like that's funny. That happens. It's like we got him. Like you cast an Earthquake, 30 damage to everyone.
Taking you all out with me.
Well, we're all going down right now together. Like, sure, that's good. In fact, if I was at 30 and all my opponents were at 29, I would cast Earthquake for 30 because it's funny.
Right. A little bit different.
A lot different.
A lot of it different.
Screw Divine Intervention. Seriously, it can never help you win a game ever. It's 8 mana. If you have an Enchantress out, draw a card. Wow, what a card.
What a magic card. Okay, this one's good too.
5 mana. If you have an Enchantress out, draw a magic card.
This one is 5 mana, draw a card with an Enchantress because it's Battle of Wits. If you have 200 cards in your deck on your upkeep, you win.
There's no way to do this.
I can win.
Yeah, there is no way to do this at all in Commander.
Oh wait, you know what? We have to stop that. We have to get under this. There's no legal way to do this in Commander. You can play all the house rules, shuffle in your sideboard. We don't have sideboards. You only have access to 100 cards legitimately in the actual rules. Can't do it.
Yes, so there is no legitimate way to do this in Commander whatsoever, meaning this is a 5 mana, do literal nothing.
No text. But it stays in play.
It's just an enchantment that sits there and does nothing. You could make it a creature with I don't even know what the card is that makes enchantments creatures.
Let's say Opalescence.
Whatever. Opalescence, just make it a creature with Opalescence. Whatever. This card is awful. I mean, it is a do nothing. You cannot have 200 cards in your deck, and unfortunately, this isn't Alchemy, so we can't shuffle new cards into our deck. So
yes.
Just gonna have to
Sorry,
deal with that.
I don't know. This isn't compatible with the format. Play to Modern. Hedron Alignment. Now, Hedron Alignment is one of the better cards on here because it has text. I think you upkeep Scry, or you can pay 2 and a blue to Scry, something like that. Except you need 4 of them to have it have any other text, and we only have 1. Then you can get a copy onto the battlefield, and then have another copy wherever you want. But that's it. You can only get up to 2 of them, right? Because it wants 1 battlefield, 1 graveyard, 1 hand, and 1 exile.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no way to put. So yeah, you can go. Yeah, the issue is the exile, graveyard, and hand. You can have 1 in any one of those positions,
right?
And 1 on the battlefield with clones. But clones don't stay cloned as it in the graveyard.
They have the identity.
There's just no way to do this. Like you said, it's one of the better cards because we can scry.
Ooh.
That's it.
I'll take it over Battle of Wits any day.
Exactly. I'll take it over Battle of Wits.
That's a 3 mana cantrip.
Yeah. Time for the next one. It's actually worse. I think this is worse than Garbage Fire because it doesn't target. But so it's Wish. It doesn't target at all. This is just a 3 mana. Get something out of your sideboard, put it in your hand.
It's better than Garbage Fire because Garbage Fire targets. So you can't cast Garbage Fire with no creatures in play. But I can cast Wish all day, baby. No restriction.
Oh man, see, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
The slight the Phantasmal Image exists. I mean, these are all so niche
you mean
and
like
tiny.
Creatures with target abilities?
It's literally so tiny.
If you have to cast, if you need to trigger Prowess or Magecraft with no creatures in play, this is your way to go.
Wish is better for that. What is better? Garbage Fire or Wish in Commander?
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, Wish does literally nothing. You don't have sideboard in Commander. Again, house rules can obviously change that and make this card playable. But we're talking about the rules of Commander as they are right now.
This list doesn't have house rules on it.
This list does not have house rules, so Wish is 3 mana, do nothing, but better than Tripwire because 3 mana, I can't even play this, is worse.
Yes, it definitely worse. We talked about how giving away resources not a great way to go when you're trying to win a game. So all these cards that double mana for everybody, I'm avoiding like the plague. Now we put Mana Flare on here because it's one of the more iconic ones. The reason I'm saying Mana Flare is one of the worst cards in the format, I know there's decks that take advantage of Mana Flare, but what's their game plan? It's to literally play Mana Flare on a turn in the late game, use it, win the game, and then nobody else gets to use it. So even those decks recognize that if I'm passing the turn with Mana Flare in play, it's awful.
So Mana Flare, as a Magic card, isn't actually that horrible.
Right.
If it's only used as a ritual. You can never pass the turn with this card, or else it's a horrible Magic card.
Right, and every other way to double mana is even more expensive and harder to do.
So there are the decks that will use it as a ritual to go off and win, and those are the decks it should be in. That is an extremely small percentage of deck.
Like not even 1%.
That's not how many decks are playing this.
No.
A lot of decks are playing this card. Oh no, do not! I think you should just avoid this card like the plague. And you have to be literally playing combo. Not if you're in a combo. As soon as you're not playing as soon as you are in a combat meta, no, do not touch this card. Just throw it in the garbage. It is trash.
Trying to win? Don't try this. We talked about giving away resources, but what about giving away all your entire cards? We have Donate or Zedru the Greathearted if you want to pick a commander for it. Zedru is a strategy, but there's a big problem with it. And there's a big problem with Donate in general. If there's a Donate in your deck, you have this problem. What are you giving away? You're either giving away something that's good, in which case that's terrible for you. I don't know how you're supposed to win when you're giving away your good cards, or you're giving away with something that's bad, in which case your deck is full of bad cards, and now this one card existing in your deck makes multiple cards in your deck terrible. And neither of those are going to increase your win percentage.
So we'll start here. Zedru is incredibly fun, and it's a
cool design.
It's a cool design, great build around, all that. And then now we're fun's off the table. Now we've already said that in this video. There's a balance here. So for Zedru to be a good card, you need to give away crappy cards, useless stuff that doesn't really do anything. In order to do that, you need to put bad cards in your deck, so your deck gets worse. And so Zedru gets better, your deck gets worse, and that's how it's always going to be. And then you flip the other thing. If your deck's really good and it's got all good cards, then Zedru's awful.
Right.
And when you meet in the middle, you just have two mediocre things. Like, why would you
to draw the right half of cards?
So I think these cards are actually horrible from a power perspective. Some of the Donate is terrible. There is nothing good about Donate whatsoever. It's just bad.
Right. There's synergies with Donate, but those cards are usually also bad because you're trying to give them away. And then all this stuff just coalesces into just like poop. It just makes your whole deck a jumbled mess.
What we need to exist, and this would be an interesting design because you would have to basically it's what the card you would see if Zedru was made in a commander deck now, because they would build around it correctly.
What?
A card that says does something when you control it, but does something different when they control it. And that's a cool design.
Like it gets -4/-4 if its controller is not its owner.
Like creatures you control get +1/+1. But if you control this card but don't own it, creatures you control get -1/-1.
Yeah, that could be something.
It's like that's a cool design, but those don't exist. And therefore, Donate and Zedru are just terrible.
Okay, let's get back to something people probably won't hate us for as much. Dichotomancy. 7 blue, sorcery. Alternate cost, you could suspend it for 3 turns for 1 blue. For every tapped non-land permanent an opponent controls, you search their deck for a copy of it, and you get it on your side. There's no way.
Did you say non-land?
This isn't tapped non-land. They couldn't even give us non-land. It's basically search an opponent's library for 3 mana 3 turns from now.
Yeah, I mean, this does nothing. Again, it's the same thing as before, except for we want to do it to our opponents. Now, the stupid hoop that we could go through.
There's no hoop.
Now there's no hoop.
We don't have that.
We have to make them clone it and then shuffle it back into their deck and then go get it. There's not only there's 4 more hoops now, so I had to make them clone it.
This one's impossible because even if you hive mind it and they get a copy, they don't have to target you. And if they know that you're doing this crap, they're not going to target you. There's just no way to do this. This is 9 mana for, not many 9 mana sorceries have no text. That's a really special spot to be in.
Yeah, it's incredibly horrible.
This is you know what this is? This is the old Clone Legion. Clone Legion's just get them all. Here you go. But this one's literally physically get them all.
Go get them all if they have them, which they don't. Okay. This next one is a cycle of cards. It's the Leech cycle. I'm listening. Which one's the worst to you? I think the worst one for me about this whole cycle is Alabaster Leech.
For sure. Yeah. They're just creatures that have for the day good stats, but the downside is your green spells cost green more to cast. Not even 1, green more, or your white spells cost white more to cast. So I think Leech is the worst one because it's a 1 mana 1/3, least relevant stats, like the 5/5 for 4. Oh man, we're beaten in. But 1 mana 1/3 comes down early. Make sure you can't play the game right on turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hilarious. So the best these are all best in a 5-color deck
with no other color to the color. They're vanilla creatures at that point.
Yeah, exactly. They're vanilla creatures. So they're already terrible, which, we're not going to play a Baron Commander. We're not going to play it. That's a terrible, terrible card. Bears with downside? Oh my God, what is going on here? These are absolutely horrendous, making your spells harder to cast. Dude, just don't, obviously not to touch these. I just think it's hilarious. Alabaster Leech, oh man, can come down on turn 1. That's when it's the worst.
Perfect.
It's the worst. It's a 1/3.
It's when the stats are the best, but also the card is the worst. Just what a mixture. Somebody, when I was brewing up a deck, I was taking suggestions, and we were originally in the Discord, but we had to basically stop and move to the Twitter. But when we were in Discord, somebody was really pushing for Alabaster Leech.
No, you got lucky not to get Alabaster Leech.
I would have taken it. I don't care.
It's just so bad.
It's terrible.
All right, what's the last one, BZ, for this?
Last one, shout-outs to Return to Ravnica, Search the City. It's 5 mana enchantment. These 5 mana blue enchantments, man. Enters... You exile the top 5 cards of your library. Whenever you play a card with the same name as one of the exiled cards, put the card with the same name exiled from Search the City into your hand. Then if there's no cards exiled with it, take an extra turn. It's not even you win. You take an extra turn after this one. You have to blind flip 5 basic lands, or the card has no text at all.
Yeah, you have to set this up somehow.
If your deck is 99 islands, you can get basically a free time walk 5 turns from now. That's broken.
What an absolutely horrendous.
It was never good. It's not going to limited. It wasn't good in standard. It wasn't good in modern, legacy, vintage. It's not legal in pauper. Not legal in penny dreadful. Maybe it is actually, but also commander.
It just doesn't do anything, like you said. This is slightly better, than Battle Wits because it has some text that could potentially.
It forces a scry 5 to the bottom.
In some world, you can get this extra turn. It is possible. Mm-hmm. Battle Wits obviously does nothing ever. So it is better than Battle Wits. But that's not saying anything.
The Search the City is a combo with honorable mention Index. 5 basics. Slam it. Let's go. And then everyone just kind of shivers their timbers on the other side of the table.
Yeah, but regardless... That's that. These cards are all absolutely terrible, and there's more. There's more terrible cards.
There's more. Let us know if you want to see them.
If you want to see a part 2, absolutely let us know, and actually leave in the comments the card that you think is absolutely one of the worst cards in all of Commander. We'd love to do more of these.
We left some bangers off. There are a few bangers that aren't on here.
Oh, the one that didn't. There is an honorable mention that we're not an honorable not mention because we're not mentioning it. That will be in part 2. That was one of my favorites on here, but. It was the best. It was definitely the best, and I'm glad we left it off.
We'll get to it.
But if you want to know what it is, you'll have to like this video and subscribe. Like for part 2.
We're a toxic TikTok.
We're a toxic TikTok where
Like for part 2.
Oh, like for part 2, or even worse.
You'll never believe what happened.
Right before we get in to the shout-outs.
And this is tidbit territory.
It is tidbit territory.
Maybe we'll just save it.
No, because I have a tidbit.
Ooh.
Because I'm gonna get people mad at me. Okay, so let's just skip. That's on the video. Special shout-outs to all of our patrons. Love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. Patreon is a website you can go to support creators you love directly, including the Nitpicking Nerds, and we would appreciate your support.
Yes, you can also go to TCG Player and basically give us money that isn't yours. Now, that sounds really appealing. So go to the link, buy the cards you would buy anyway, and then when you check out, that very thing happens. Same is true for Dragon Shield, best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves!
Go buy some sleeves, go buy some binders, go buy whatever you want from them, custom sleeves even, and we get a kickback on that order as well. And before we get to the tidbit, I need to know what you were going to say. This is proof that we never script these, because I just want to know what you were going to say about the TikTok.
All I was going to say about the TikTok is even worse is like ones that have part 1 written on them, and then they stop mid-sentence. Like a guy will be like telling a story, but it's obviously too long for one TikTok.
Yeah.
So he'll just be like, and that, and then that's.
What are you doing? Just do another take.
It's time to get people mad at me, though.
Here we go. I actually figured out what this is, and I won't be mad at you.
I mean, no one's going to be mad. No reasonable human being will be mad at me, but people will be mad at me.
All right, let's do it.
So obviously,
if you don't want politics in your Magic the Gathering soup, you better click off.
Oh, because I'm going to get political for at least a little bit.
Kind of. Barely.
I mean, it is political. It is 100% political, but it is the most nonsensical crap I've ever seen. The Don't Say Gay law for Florida is the most stupid thing I've ever seen in my life. You can't mention it in kindergarten through 3rd grade. You can't mention anything about being gay, being homosexual, anything. And now on paper, and I actually had a good conversation because I changed somebody's mind on this, which made me very happy. Reasonable person explained to me that I don't want somebody talking about sexual preference to my kid. And on paper, that makes sense. But
it makes it sound like, I don't want a kindergarten teacher going up to anyone and be like, do you know how sex works?
Exactly. But that's what they're actually implying. Mm-hmm. But that's not what's happening. So my example is it's George Washington's wife, right?
Betsy Ross.
Betsy Ross. And
I didn't even know it was his wife, by the way.
Whoever sewed the first American flag, and it doesn't matter. But if you reference it in history, you would say, hey, George Washington's wife. Mm-hmm. Okay? That implies a heterosexual relationship.
Uh-oh, double standard.
And so if we flip, and that is taught in some spot between kindergarten and 3rd grade.
People have husbands or wives.
People have husbands or wives, and it's gone over in history. So if you flip the script in George Washington, now his husband,
Danny Ross,
sewed the flag. You can't mention that. You'd have to say his roommate sewed the flag.
Garbage.
Actual garbage.
There's garbage fire. Put that on this list.
I want to say something from my own personal experience that actually...
As a gay man, probably.
Well, I wish I could have done this. So I worked in preschool. And now, obviously, it didn't come up with the preschoolers. But there was an after-school program where kindergarten through 3rd, 4th, 5th grade would come in. And that was some of my favorite parts of working there. Those kids were really... they're way more independent than preschoolers. And it was really nice to work with them. Especially as a change up from working with 3-year-olds who, aren't quite as independent. It came up essentially this, where I was asked if I had a girlfriend. And I was uncomfortable, but I shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
I should have been able to say, and it shouldn't have been an issue whatsoever, that no, I don't have a girlfriend. I have a boyfriend. And that should have been the end of it. Now, they would have asked more questions, but obviously I would not go into detail with children about anything.
Being gay doesn't mean that you're some kind of sex-crazed lunatic who breaks social norms to scar children.
Exactly. So I only wish I could relive that moment so I could be like, yeah, say the same thing. I say, when they say, do you have a girlfriend? I go, no, I have a boyfriend. And that's it.
That's basically it.
I mean,
maybe they learned something.
I mean, they would have learned something. They would have learned that they exist, and they probably would have moved on with their life because kids don't care.
That's why kids are awesome.
Kids are awesome because they don't have all this. Kids are extremely and ridiculously understanding.
Until you ruin it.
Until people ruin them. And then
Any 3-year-olds watching, you're the bomb.
You're the bomb.
How are you watching?
.com. Maybe they're sitting with their dad. Maybe their dad loves us. Hi.
3-year-olds sitting with their dads.
Yeah, okay. But that's the video. I'm done ranting. Peace out, Tribe Scout.